Hey y'all, and welcome to Basco Family Farm. My name is Kindra, and my husband and I acquired this farm just over 3 years ago. We are about to get goats in May. So this is my friend's house down the road. She breeds goats, she milks goats. These are milk goats. And I went to go check out the 2 that she set aside for us and see the rest of her herd in operation. Now the 2 that you see later on in the video, the white one she actually would prefer to keep. So we're gonna let her keep that one, and I'm gonna take the brown one and one of the other ones out here in the field. So I grew up with 2 pygmy goats and they were white, so I prefer a colorful goat in comparison. All of these goats here you see, they are a mixed breed, or known like as a mutt. In Virginia, mutts do better. They have better birthing rates, and also their feet do better with the clay soil than a purebred. The mutts are also less resistant to diseases and parasites. Also, purebreds will cost you more. So some terminologies when it comes to goats. A female goat is called a doe. A male goat is called a buck. A fixed or castrated goat is called a wether. Young goat female is a doeling, young goat male is a buckling, and a kid is a baby goat, which would be from birth to 6 months. 2 different types of goats that are out there. You have breeds that are more so for meat production, and then you have goats that are for milk production. As I've said, these goats here are bred for milk production. How you get milk is you have to breed the goat. It's very similar to how humans work. The mothers do not produce milk unless they have a baby. So you can breed a goat after 6 months of birth. And as far as milking goes, you can put them on a milking machine. However, my friend here, she had told me she doesn't prefer using a milking machine, even though she has one, because you have to start the goat off by hand milking and finish the goat by hand milking. You have to adjust the milking machine per each goat that wears it, and it's noisy, so you have to get the goat used to the sound. If the goat is stressed out, does not like the experience, they may not let down the milk, and then they could have blood in their milk. If they have blood in their milk, it's no good and you have to throw it out anyways, which was a situation that she was running into. So she also said she can milk the goats faster if she just does it by hand, and then she doesn't have to wash the machinery. So those are some things to consider if you want to get into milking. So one of the biggest factors around here for the goats having issues has to do with their hooves. We are on clay soil, so you want to make sure that you get a goat breed that has good feet. And speaking of feet, you are going to need to clip their feet every 6 to 8 weeks. Now, if you're in a very rocky terrain, goats are known for being on the sides of mountains. That's what they naturally do. We don't really have that in Virginia, so we have to clip their hooves every 6 to 8 weeks. But that may vary if you are in a climate that's very rocky, and it will wear down the hooves more so than we have here. If you are milking a goat, you will be milking the goat once a day unless they produce more milk. Then you would milk the goat twice a day. And with milking a goat, you need to feed them more. All right, the food that is preferred for the goats is not actually grass. Grass is really sweet, kind of like candy. And these goats, they need roughage. So they need like hay. They like the little branches, there's sticks of the hay. They like bushes, like thorny weeds. We plan to put our goats out in the fields and let them graze on wild rose bushes as well as wild black raspberries. Those both have thorns on them, and that's okay. The goats can eat that and they're not going to get hurt. You may notice that the little white goat that's being bottle fed has little things under her chin on the side of her neck. Those are called wattles. Not every breed of goat has those. It's also something found on certain breeds of pigs. And that's normal, so you can just leave those be. Now all of these baby goats here, you'll notice they have circles where there would be horns later on in life, that is because they have been disbudded or dehorned, and this is done right after birth, and it's basically like you take an iron and you burn it, and then the horns don't develop. The reason to do this is goats are notorious for getting their heads stuck in fencing and other things. And if you have horns on the goat, it's very difficult to remove the goat's head from whatever it's been stuck in. Additionally, if you have little ones around the goats, a horn is a great way to have an injury by an eye. So if you don't have the horns, you won't get poked by it. They can also hurt each other with their horns. So it's up to you if you want to keep the horns or not. But if you do have the horns on the goats, they will be much harder to get out of any situation they get stuck in. Bucks will ram with their horns. A castrated male, a wether, they will not or should not be exhibiting this behavior. That is more of a behavior you have due to the hormones. If you are going to be doing milk production, you do not want a buck near your ladies. Because of the hormones that are released, having a buck near a doe will cause the milk to taste bad. It has that earthy, sour, bad rep that goat milk has. So if you want good tasting milk, don't have a buck. Now, if you don't have a buck, how do you breed? What you can do is rent a buck. Someone will bring a buck to you, or you can bring your goats to the buck. And that's that. When you house your goat, make sure that they have a house. They need some kind of structure to go into to keep warm. You don't want them on bare concrete. So if you have them on a concrete slab, you're going to want to put hay or some kind of bedding in there for them. Especially if they're going to birth, you don't want them to be birthed out onto concrete. Goats do not like rain. You'll see it's raining in this video that I've been shooting. They're out on the pasture because it was raining all day. The goats need to get out and do their life. But if it's just a short storm, they're going to want to be inside and covered. So make sure they have coverage from the elements. And fencing is your number one priority. Goats are notorious for getting out and escaping. You want very good fencing. So the fencing you want is woven wire goat fencing. Now the white goat with the horns that was standing up on the fence and I was petting, that goat's name is Pickles, and she is standing on woven wire. You can get temporary fencing similar to what we have for our chickens, and you need to make sure that it has a small enough squares in the fencing the goat's heads can't get through it, and you need to have them on a higher voltage to keep the goat off. They will try to escape. They will test the fencing. Goats do not want to stay put. They want to explore and play. Also, you need to have more than one goat. If you are going to get a goat, you need at least a second goat. Goats are herd animals. They are very social, so they need a buddy. Ideally, you would probably have more than one buddy. And as you grow the herd, you will start to see a pecking order between the goats. But when it is a smaller count, there's not really a hierarchy of structure so much. And those are the basic needs to know for goats. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I really look forward to showing you our goat journey and how the goats grow up and I learn how to milk. Thanks for joining us.